What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve.
I'm Lindsay.
Today we're going to be reacting to the UK election results explained. All I really know that happened in the elections is I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Tories, which are known as the Conservatives, they lost control of government. And I believe it was the Labour Party that now controls government. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure we'll find out here for sure, but I think that's what I remember hearing. I've been on purpose trying to not really, get too many details because when I go into learning about something on a video, I like to kind of not know much about it so that, it's a surprise to me so that I can, talk about it from a fresh perspective and things like that. So yeah, guys, don't really have too much information about what happened, which is why we're going to check this video out today. Probably about 2 weeks or so ago, we actually did a video where we learned about the UK voting system and the election system itself. Learn kind of a little bit about what goes on. Yeah, it was quite comprehensive, but it was confusing at the same time. And so hopefully we'll pick up some more stuff with this video as well about the system itself. Yeah. But yeah, guys, looking forward to this. If anybody knows me well, I do like the politics. I do. And
I don't.
Unfortunately, I do because, it's one of those things that can really divide people. And, I was almost going to do a political channel at one point. I still think about it from time to time, but I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's just like once you open that can of worms, there's no going back.
There's no going back.
Ugh. Do you really want that to be your life?
You're gonna have some people that love you, some people that hate you, and then it's gonna be like you can't help but get somewhat negative if that is your daily focus.
Yeah, because politics are negative inherently.
It's unfortunate that's the case. It shouldn't be the case.
At least here in the U.S., I don't know what the climate is over in the UK as far as discussing politics.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but I think people know what happened recently in the last few days here in the U.S. Just goes to show how heated the political climate is here. It's really unfortunate that it's beyond, I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this video is about. This video is about learning about your UK election results. But suffice to say,
we should be able to civilly discuss things like this and not lose friends or go off the rails at people. And shouldn't divide us so much.
And before we get started, I don't want to be long-winded on this, but it's just a shame that people can't look past the fact that people do think differently. We all have different upbringings. We all have different experiences in life and different priorities that dictate kind of how we lean politically in different ways. Anyways, guys, enough rambling from us. Let's go ahead and dive in here and check out the UK election results explained.
The Labour Party has won this general election.
And that's it. 14 years of Conservative rule has this morning come to a rather brutal end.
Wow,
after a relatively
14 years,
short but terribly bruising campaign, the Conservatives have been reduced to their lowest seat share ever, with them dropping below the 156 seats.
Holy 344 to 119, I think it said. Oh my goodness. Wow.
That is crazy, though. Honestly.
That is insane. So they had 14 years of control, and then out of the blue, they go from 344 to 119.
So I feel like here...
Wow.
That blows my mind that you've had 14 consecutive years of more conservative leadership. Whereas here, I feel like most election cycles, it swings back and forth.
It does.
Regularly.
We never see something like that. Let's take our House of Representatives. You might swing to where one party has a 20 seat
a small
lead or something.
Majority.
But generally speaking, most districts around the country have, they pretty much go with this. They're pretty much either conservative or liberal leaning or right or left leaning. And so you don't really see much swinging in those districts. You have to get to the actual swing districts, which make up, I don't know, I'm saying probably 50 or 60 seats throughout the country that actually just swing it back and forth our house goes every 2 years. So, but that is insane, guys. I mean,
you guys already know.
Yeah. Whether you're conservative or liberal, looking at this is absolutely insane, no matter what party it is, to drop from 344 to 119. How does that even happen after?
Yeah, what happened? Like what
seriously,
made it such a drastic?
This is insane. Since 1900, this is the lowest seats they've ever held. Oh, I think you said ever.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Ever. Wow.
That is insane. I mean, they've only even come close to this, a few years? 1906, 97, and 2001 were the only years they really even came close. Wow. So, okay, let's just continue, guys. That's crazy. I would have never expected that type of drop from a major political party. Because think about it, the Tories, the conservatives are basically, the closest we probably have here is the Republican Party. And then the Labor Party said one is kind of probably close to our Democrat Party, I'm guessing. Can you imagine one of those parties dropping that much?
No, but I also can't imagine 14 consecutive years
of the same thing. That's true.
So maybe that's why.
That's another thing. Before we move on, guys, I'd like to ask, do you guys typically see one party control for 14 years? Or is that kind of, unheard of until recently? Yeah. Because if it's unheard of until the last 14 years or so, then potentially this could be the boomerang effect, So I don't know.
They won in the 1906 general election.
Wow.
On the other side of things, though, Labour have achieved almost the highest seat share in their history.
Wow.
Getting very close to the huge 418 seats that they won in the 1997 general election.
This is insane, too. Look at this. You see how low it was here? Mm-hmm. Was it a new party back here, or did they just not have much control? They just didn't win out much. Because it looks like almost zero in 1900 or one or something.
Right.
So let us know that too, guys. Did the Labor Party come on the scene much later than the Conservative Party? Because it kind of looks like maybe that's the case here. I don't know.
It's not only Labour who've had a good night, though. The Liberal Democrats have also had a very good night, with their seat share ticking up to a huge 71 seats.
From 11?
Wow.
Ever, and up from only 11 in 2019.
Wow.
This is, in fact, even higher than their seat share in 2010, when they agreed to a formal coalition with the Conservative Party. Similarly, it seems that Reform UK have had a pretty good night too.
Reform UK.
They've gone from no seats to a pretty respectable 4 seats. Even more impressively, it seems they've achieved an even more respectable 14.3% of the vote.
Wow.
That's pretty significant.
Going from where they were to that.
From a very small party.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing I'm guessing to us that would be the equivalent of something like the Libertarian Party or the Green Party or something. I haven't looked into the political parties and kind of what they believe yet.
Yeah, I want to do that.
That's something we're going to do at some point, and kind of see, where they lead. All I know is that, for example, the Conservatives obviously lean right and more than the Labor Party, which would lean more left than the Conservatives. But I have no idea exactly what their political positioning is.
Right.
But yeah. Wow.
The Greens didn't have a terrible night either, with them not only holding on to Brighton Pavilion, but also gaining Bristol Central, Waveney Valley, and North Herefordshire.
See, I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that.
Had a pretty
little
bad
districts,
night,
right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Who were damaged by their ongoing scandals and their very recent change of leader. Despite their electoral dominance in Scotland over the last decade or so, last night they received their lowest seat share since 2010, winning only 9 seats. This is...
So it sounds like overall, it was a
massive,
totally maybe not unexpected, but unprecedented, I guess.
Yeah, because it's not,
everything.
All the major political parties here. Some of these are more minor, I guess, like Reform Party and the Green Party, but they've all had these major either increases or major decreases, and so. There was something about the government in the UK that was majorly changed.
Was it the last 4 years or 5 years? When do your election cycles?
I believe we learned it was 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or I think it's been 5 years since, and they can call for an election at any time or something like that.
Is a significant decline since 2019, when they won 48
Wow.
out of the 56 available in Scotland. Obviously, this will raise a couple of key questions. The first is whether this is the beginning of the end of SNP dominance in Scotland. And secondly, is what such a terrible result will mean for the cause of Scottish independence. So anyway, these are the headline results from the election. The key event from last night occurred at 10 p.m. when we got our first...
All right, hold on. I want to see this real quick all together. Man, it's still amazing to me that you guys have this many choices when it comes to parties. You know, at most, you might see a Libertarian and a Green Party on a ballot occasionally.
Yeah.
But even that's kind of rare. Probably every 2 to 3 presidential elections, you see them in any given state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost always just the Republicans and Democrats. But that is insane, man. That is insane. Okay. Wow.
Indication of what was to come in the release of the exit poll. Now, the most shocking thing to note in the exit poll here was the number of expected Reform seats. The exit poll predicted that Reform would get 13 seats, significantly higher than most of the MRP polls in the run-up to the election. However, there were some wobbles through the night, with some polls suggesting that the exit poll had overestimated the number of seats. The more observant of you will notice that it turns out that the exit poll had indeed overestimated, and in the end, Reform achieved only 4 seats. The other shocking find from the exit poll was the number of predicted Tory seats.
Oh, that's the exit poll.
Election day, many of the MRP
Okay.
polls were predicting below 100 Tory seats, while the exit poll predicted that the Tories were going to win 131 seats. What followed was deeply chaotic, and something that made writing this video through the night even more difficult. As the results started coming in, it appeared that the exit poll was slightly wrong, although the BBC and ITV couldn't quite agree in what direction. In the wee hours of Friday morning, the BBC updated their prediction, with them suggesting that the Conservatives were going to win more seats, while ITV updated theirs and predicted that they would in fact win fewer. As things stand, it appears that the Tories have won slightly fewer than originally predicted, but not significantly. Anyway, overall results aside, the night was also particularly interesting when it came to individuals. There were 2 properly shocking and unexpected results. The first was Jonathan Ashworth, unexpected...
By the way, did you see that the Labour Party, what they predicted in exit polls was exactly the amount of seats they received, I think?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, if you look back
But everything
here,
else was a little off.
yeah, look at that.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy, man. That's very unusual for any
be
type of
spot
polling to be
on,
spot on like
yeah.
that. At least here in the U.S. it is.
losing his seat to an independent candidate. Ashworth has previously been the Shadow Health Secretary and, up until today, was the Shadow Paymaster General. It appears that the loss of his seat has been a result of Labour's stance on Gaza, something that could cause problems for the incoming Labour government more generally. The second unexpected result was Jeremy Corbyn's election in Islington North. Having been deselected as a Labour MP, Corbyn opted to stand in his constituency as an independent. He did, however, make the decision to stand rather late in the election cycle, something that led to a decent proportion of journalists and pundits to believe that he was going to lose the constituency to the new Labour candidate. This wasn't the case, though, and Corbyn secured himself a pretty decent majority. So now that we've gone through exactly what happened through the night, it's worth going through what this all means for the main parties. Now, the most interesting party to discuss right now are the Conservatives, who, as we've just discussed, lost some pretty major figures through the night.
That's
At the
major.
time of writing, Sunak has not yet announced his resignation as Conservative leader, although he is expected to either this morning or in the coming days and weeks. This will naturally kickstart a Tory leadership election.
Wait, it doesn't just automatically happen? Like he has to give up the seat?
Well, he's not going to be prime minister now, but within his party, he's still going to be the head of the party itself. He would still be the leader unless he either resigned or I guess his party members vote him out.
The prime minister.
No, the prime minister will not be the same guy anymore. No.
No, I know that, but I'm saying the way he made it sound was that he had to basically denounce the prime minister leadership role and then switch it over. But it's not like that, I guess.
Right. No,
Okay.
no, I don't think
The
so.
question now is who would take over? While it's a little too soon to tell, there are some candidates that are in a particularly strong position right now. Kemi Badenoch is in the strongest position. She's got a rather strong following among right-wing Tories, both in Parliament and among the membership. What really bolsters this position is the fact that one of her key rivals for the leadership, Penny Mordaunt, lost her seat last night. It is worth mentioning, though, that there has been an issue in Badenoch's constituency with postal votes. And if this is challenged in the
Postal
courts,
votes.
it could
Like
cause
mail-in
problems
ballots?
for her
That's what they're saying.
candidacy in the Tory leadership election. Anyway, someone else that there's some chatter about in terms of taking over the Tory leadership is Nigel Farage and his potential defection from
look into
the
him.
UK in order to
He
lead the
looks
Tories.
familiar. I don't know
After all,
why.
He now has a seat in the House of Commons, and there are some relatively senior members of the Conservative Party who have gone on the record as saying that they would like Farage to join their party.
I don't know why I know him.
I know, like, I have no clue. I don't follow.
I know the name really well, and I don't know why. I've probably heard it in the news or something quite a bit, but I don't really know anything about him specifically. But I know this is a guy that I should probably look into. He looks like, I really want to look into a lot of these political figures that I know of somehow, but I don't really know anything about them, really.
Right.
Only the next few weeks will show exactly what happens here. But if you do want to stay informed on this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Anyway, what happens next for Labour is quite simple. The new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, will meet the King and agree to form a government in his name. He'll take office at Downing Street, assemble his first cabinet, and could even represent his party in a PMQ session before the imminent summer recess. They will soon begin implementing their policy platform as outlined in their manifesto. Whether they're successful at implementing this is not yet known, though, and something we'll need to keep an eye on through the next
That's the type of thing I want to look into.
The government.
What is
Regardless,
it?
this is clearly
Like what
a
the parties stand
monumental
for.
election for Labour and the UK.
All right, guys. That was very short, but very informative.
Very shocking.
Yeah, that is absolutely shocking. I would never expect to see that type of a change throughout the government. We just don't see that here in the U.S.
As dramatic as you can get.
I'm not saying we've never seen that type of change in leadership by that many seats before in the U.S. I'm sure we have at some point, but I can't think of it any time in recent, history. I mean, like I said, you expect to see maybe a 20, 30, if you get like a 40 seat swing in the House, that is insane.
Yeah.
To see
big.
hundreds of seats. Granted, they do have more seats than we do in our House. So it makes sense that you might see a little bit more swing, but still, I would never expect, 344 to 119. And then I forgot what the Labor Party rose from to. They're like 400 and something now. What?
419 now.
Yeah.
And they were.
I don't know what they were. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. They went up like a ton, and then all the other parties went up and down quite a bit. So there must have been something about the government that everybody was they didn't like.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comments as to why you think this happened and what was the prompting, like the reasoning for such a big switch. Was it because it was 14 years of conservative leadership?
Yeah, I can't imagine a switch this big without it had to be something just like people were just fed up with something. I have no idea. We obviously aren't over there, and we don't really keep up with the ins and outs of the daily stuff that's going on in politics over there.
American stuff, so
yeah, I keep up with American stuff quite a bit. But Lindsay's not into the politics as much as I am.
It's just stressful
But seeing starting to learn about the UK politics, I kind of enjoy it, and it's something I want to look into more. And I think you like this somewhat. I think you think it's interesting.
Somewhat. It is interesting. Especially because I like thinking about human psychology and the reasoning behind things.
Right.
So
that's part of what I like about it too. Is like, what is going on in the mind of these people? Yeah. So guys, let us know in the comments, what do you think of these results? Please be respectful to everybody that may have differing opinions from you. Just if you have any ideas of why such a strong, obviously political, reaction or upheaval in the UK political system happened, let us know in the comments, because obviously this is not something you probably see every election. I'm guessing. No. I can't imagine you see it this strong of a change. If you do, that's amazing. Let us know that as well. But we definitely want to check out some more political stuff going forward. Anyways, guys, enough rambling for us. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey to discover anything and everything from the UK and Ireland. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.